Before we begin this episode of Rate That Album, we would need to discuss the fact that we are going to be going into some triggering territory. We will be discussing serious themes of sexual abuse, sexual misconduct, pedophilia. So this is things that we want to put ahead of time. Also note that while we do review albums, at the heart of what we do, we are a comedy podcast, and we crack a lot of jokes. So as you listen, please understand that we are not condoning anything that will occur, that has occurred, or that comes up during this podcast. Does not reflect anything of our personal views. We are simply discussing things and putting it into a lens that is a little bit more palatable. Thank you.
Love you, do hate, why should you care? 'Cause we're the best damn review team out there. It's time to rate that album.
Hi, and welcome to Rate That Album, the back and forth podcast review with myself, Paul Muad'Dib, and my wonderful, amazing friend who likes to hide in closets and cabinets, Joe Fremming. Joe, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, Paul. Yeah. I'm doing all right. I don't have I'm not, leaving a cherry pie with a slice taken out of it. And, I'm allergic to cherry pies. Paul, trapped in the closet, we messaged each other, and you brought up the fact that Twin Peaks really prepared us for something like Trapped in the Closet.
It did. It really did. How is something that R. Kelly did, I needed Twin Peaks to fucking navigate?
Yeah. Yeah, Paul. Yep.
Okay. I was blind. Now, this was a request from a listener, Annie in Florida. So thank you, Annie, for that. Holy fuck. This is a thing. So reason why Annie brought this up to me, Joe, was they had listened to our Hulk Hogan one and was like, that was hilarious. Listen, you talk about like the Bubba the Love Sponge thing. By the way, are you familiar with R. Kelly's Trapped in the Closet? And I was like, no. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really familiar with anything R. Kelly. Like, I knew there were some allegations. I knew there was some things. But Joe, you and I talked about a little bit before the podcast. Both of you and I were only really familiar with R. Kelly from I Believe I Can Fly.
Yeah, from the Space Jam soundtrack.
From the Space Jam soundtrack. Yeah. R. Kelly was not the type of music I was really into. There's just nothing to me interesting about R. Kelly musically that I didn't feel 1,000 other artists were doing. And tell me if you disagree with that.
Oh, I agree. Except my experience,
please,
changed. So when this was suggested, I laughed so hard.
You did. I will admit that you did.
I am very familiar with Trapped in the Closet, Paul. Me and my buddy were drinking one night. We went to another friend's house, our mutual friend Dan. Dan had this on DVD, and he's like, "You guys really should just check out like a few chapters of it." And, we're like, yeah, R. Kelly, I don't know. And we watched all 22 chapters, just mystified, laughing, crying, just not believing what the fuck because I was familiar with the concept of Trapped in the Closet. I just thought it was an R&B song. I had no idea. It is the weirdest, most insane, batshit comedy thing, unintentional comedy at times too, that I have ever experienced. By the end, I was sweating and like tears in my eyes, and like because I went in blind like you did. So when I knew you were going in blind,
yep,
I was laughing so hard because I knew the shock to your system that this was going to be. Okay. This is not from the mind of a healthy person. It's not like it's like you know what we know about R. Kelly now. R. Kelly's a monster. We know, but it's just that this is such a fucked up thing for like like a big named R&B artist to put out. Like it's bizarre.
The only thing you really told me was it was a line along the lines of, "Oh yeah, and a midget's gonna shit on itself," and I was like, "What?" Like I wasn't sure what the hell you were talking about, because it did not. R. Kelly R. Kelly album and a midget shitting itself. And I'm using the term midget, by the way, because it's used in the song. Keep that in mind, okay? I'm going with R. Kelly's nomenclature. I understand it's not cool. I get it. And if you're upset with it, I get it. But I'm sticking with the nomenclature. Holy fuck, dude. I was not prepared. There was nothing outside. Literally, as I'm watching this, I am like thanking God I am a David Lynch Twin Peaks fan because I'm able to map somehow. And Joe, I typically only listen to an album 3 times. Joe, I have listened to this non-fucking stop. I went beyond 1 to 12. I went to everything and watched the whole goddamn thing because I was like, this is the most batshit thing I have ever fucking seen, heard. It is the Tommy Wiseau of musical operas. And the thing that blows my mind is people liked it. Like, I was talking with Annie a little bit, and she was...
I fucking love this. I fucking love Trapped in the Closet. And that's like, there's a lot of conflicting emotions with that, considering, again, R. Kelly's a fucking monster. And he's in prison, and deservedly so.
And we're going to get into that.
But again, it's like one of those things where it's like, he's a monster, yes, but he's also like an insane genius for this shit. And here's the thing, and this is one of the things I kind of want to talk about. Just because you call somebody a genius doesn't mean they're a good person. Like, I think we've gotten into this. I think we've gotten into this weird. If you call somebody smart or a genius, automatically they're pure as driven snow. They're not. A lot of smart people, really talented people, are fucking terrible human beings. But this is a fucking bizarre slice of genius that came from a fucking, I don't know where this was inspired, how this even came to be, but I fucking love Trapped in the Closet, Paul. Like, even the Weird Al Yankovic parody he tried to parody it, and it's like, it was less nuts than the source, which is probably has to be a first for Weird Al.
So, yes. And I knew the Weird Al parody from Weird Al because I'm a big Weird Al fan, but I never went back and listened to it. I didn't understand. I wish I had. I really wish I had, because I just assumed it was like just this one long song that R. Kelly did on an album. I did not understand the scope of what was going on. Okay?
So that's how I went into this back probably like 2008. I just thought it was just like, I remember people saying it was weird or whatever, and they didn't really get it. But then, like, R&B at that time wasn't really on my radar, so it didn't register with me until I actually sat down and saw it, and I was just fucking gobsmacked. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, again, this is from somebody who is, a big name R&B artist, and he throws something out there that fucking Frank Zappa would do.
This is on the lines of Zappa. And the fact that anyone let this happen is insane. Oh my God. Okay. Joe, there's so much.
Honestly, I don't think a Zappa movie would be as fucking,
I don't know, 2000.
It's as coherent and as hilarious as this. This is just like, there's things that he's just doing and saying and talking about, and like the way he phrases things, and like, it's just again, like you said, it's like Tommy Wiseau. It's like an alien decided to do a hip hop R&B rock opera, but based solely all the characters solely on the fact that they've only watched soap operas.
Yes, Yes. So, oh boy, Joe, there's so much craziness. I don't know how. Well, thank God we got 2 more albums to do after this, because there is so much.
Yeah, we're only going to do up to 12 because that's technically what the album ends on.
Yes.
And then, like, for the other parts, I think those are all just like DVD, Blu-ray releases. So, but we'll get to them. We're going to get to them.
Well, and the thing is,
We're going to get to the big package, Paul, eventually.
we're gonna get to the big which is, fuck, man. Okay, let's start with R. Kelly, because god damn it, Joe. So this is the other thing. I messaged you. I don't know a lot about R. Kelly. I knew he was in the news. I knew a little bit, but that's just really
I knew like his stuff in the early 2000s when that tape. I think it was
Right.
like a tape with him peeing on a girl.
yes.
And then when that happened, all of a sudden, like with
Dave Chappelle.
Aliyah, I
Oh,
forget her name.
Aaliyah.
He was producing her, but like apparently they had a relationship and she was like 15.
It gets. We're gonna get into
It's
it.
worse, yeah, and I know it's worse, but I remember all this stuff coming out, and then Chappelle Show
Chappelle Show.
calls him out. You know, it's kind of like the Hannibal Buress thing when he made that joke about Bill Cosby being a rapist, and then it kind of snowballed. I think Chappelle kind of helped snowball the R. Kelly thing at that time because it was the "I want to pee on you," and then they had the remix "I want to poo on you."
I want to poo on you. Yep. So here's. God damn. All right. Okay. So when you told, because I messaged you and I had said, my God, he said that he has 85 of these things in the fucking vault. That it was reported like in 2010 that he had 85 of these ready to go. And you said, too bad we'll never fucking hear him because he's away. And I'm like, oh, the conviction went through. And then I went down a
Yeah, he's not. I don't think I think he'll die in prison.
Joe, R. Kelly will die in prison, and rightfully fucking so. So I went down a giant fucking rabbit hole to the point where it was like, I don't even know. It's like its own thing. It was like, I know there's a movie. I'm sure there's a movie or a book that I read where I went, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, it just got worse and worse and worse. And I was like, I cannot fucking believe this. And how long this went on. And I will admit, and I told you this before we started, I even tried to get it to watch the Surviving R. Kelly, and I couldn't do it. After reading everything, after doing the deep dive rabbit hole that I did, Joe, no, sir. No, sir. So
yeah, he's a fucking monster.
and
It's good he'll die in prison.
it's
Like,
good he'll die in prison. He is, I think, 50 now, 56, and he has 31 years in prison.
Yeah, so
He will not get out until he's 87. He will die in prison. And he will not get paroles, and I'll explain how that's gonna fucking do this. Because he is legitimately serving multiple consecutive sentences. So parole's not even an option.
yeah, not with it's
And it's
dark and it's
okay.
bad. It's real fucking bad, and it's upsetting that he got away with it for so long.
Oh my God, Joe. Okay. So, Robert Sylvester Kelly, which is why he calls himself Sylvester. Spoiler alert. When we get to fucking.
Hey, he's 2 different characters in this, Paul. Even though it's never explicitly told to us that until ever, we just have to deduce it because all of a sudden there's the narrator and then there's Sylvester.
Yeah, later, like, yeah.
Again, like a David
after the
Lynch.
package.
It's like a David Lynch movie. Like, people just become different things.
So, fuck, man. So he grew up in the projects. He was in a choir. He described early on that he had a girlfriend, Lulu, and that they were apparently, when he was 8 years old with this Lulu, she was murdered in front of him by a bunch of kids, basically fucking around, picking on them, and then pushing her into a fucking creek, and she fucking drowned. So R. Kelly's trauma starts there. Then, from age 8 to 14, he was abused by an older female family member. Apparently, Kelly's siblings attest to this. And then R. Kelly was like not allowed to be outside. It really, really fucking weird. Then he later came out and said that then at age 10, there was another male abuser. So, I mean, I'm not making excuses, but understand that people are a product of their experiences. You always have the ability to go in and get fucking whatever, but I'm not making excuses, but understand that when we look at things like this, there is usually, when we get into something that it's going to be as explosive as R. Kelly, there's a catalyst. And it's unfortunate that these are things that are not caught early on.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't excuse anything that he did, except for Trapped in the Closet, because now it kind of makes more sense.
It's Joe, it's so many things. I was thinking it's Flowers in the Attic at one point. So all of this, R. Kelly found basketball and music. And then music became his thing. He realized basketball wasn't going to be it. So he started in 1989. Was in a group called MGM. How they got away with that, I don't know.
Oh, how long were they around before they... I mean, if they started getting more popular, if they were a more well-known act, there would have been copyright or whatever.
Well, they got together in 1989, put out their first, signed their contract in 1990. By 1991, so within a year, R. Kelly was already doing solo work because they disbanded. So it was MGM, known as Musically Gifted Men. And they released a single called Why You Want to Play Me. And apparently there was a show called Big Break. Wasn't aware of this. That was hosted by Natalie Cole. And that's where they performed. And from that, people saw Kelly and went, he's the talented one. And they performed a song called All My Love, which became the demo for his She's Got That Vibe. So basically, he took the song that they did as this group and made it his own, which also has implications, but as we can get in the Clarence Clearwater revival some other time, Joe. So then in 1991, he signed with Jive Records. The same year that Twin Peaks was released. Coincidence? I don't know. I don't think
God,
so.
There's no coincidence there, Paul. Like, again, this is at times we're going to be talking about the album, but if you watch the movie, there's like Mulholland Drive vibes going on. There's Lost Highway vibes. There's Fire Walk with Me happening.
Joe, it is a Lynch. It is honestly a load.
It's David Lynch by Tommy Wiseau.
Yes, million percent. So we'll get to this, but in 1994, R. Kelly's already now producing music for Aaliyah, Janet Jackson, Changing Faces, and he's co-lining with Salt and Pepper. In 1995 came I Believe I Can Fly. And this is the one that exploded him. And I think you and I were like, this is so saccharine. This is so whatever. It's Space Jam. It's so immediately I was like, I want nothing to do with it.
I just remember hearing it, and that was it. Like, I didn't really listen to a lot of radio, and like when I watched like MTV, it's usually like Alternative Nation or 120 Minutes sort of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just not on my radar. Like, I was aware it existed. I just
and for
That's
me,
where it began and ended with me until
I
like
was
a decade plus later, when
thanks to
my
Dan.
brain melted.
Thanks to Dan. I was Headbangers Ball, 120 Minutes, and Oddities. That was my MTV thing. So I was seeing like Ween and like the Talking Heads combined with like fucking Soundgarden and fucking, Rollins and, just the heavier shit that was going on at the time.
We need a Beavis and Butthead of them watching the entire Trapped in the Closet.
Mike Judge, we just made you a fortune. Give us our check.
You got that one for free, Mike.
Well, it's kind of like I said, look, say, I got an idea for a Scooby-Doo movie. It's for a Scooby-Doo crossover. Scooby-Doo and the Guar of Chaos. Give me my check, Warner Brothers. You're welcome. So
I'd watch it.
Everyone would watch it. It'd be amazing. Why not? They did like the fake vampire girls. Bring in fucking Otis. You can bring in Otis. He can fucking come back. Get another voice.
He's dead, Paul.
I'm
They
saying
gave
get
him the Viking funeral and everything.
But I'm just saying, you could get someone to do the voice. I mean, get Bruce Campbell. I don't care. Somebody. There's more money for you, Warner Brothers. Bruce Campbell as Otis. It's done. Everyone will see it. So that becomes like the big thing that blows him up. He becomes basically a household name. Everybody wants to do something with him. Jay-Z, Nas, fucking Celine Dion. Everybody wants to work with R. Kelly because it is blowing up. And he goes on and does Best of Both Worlds with Jay-Z, and he does his album, The Chocolate Factory. And then from 2004 to 2005, he does some more stuff. We move on, Double Up Untitled, does, Going On. He's doing a whole bunch of shit. And then we start getting into the 2000s, then he does a song, fucking A. Okay. So then we get into, the whole Trapped in a Closet thing, and we'll definitely get to that. But I'm skipping over some things. But the most telling fucking thing, so he does Black Panties, The Buffet, and then later he put out a 19-minute song on SoundCloud called I Admit, which was a response to his fucking accusers. Okay?
It's kind of like the OJ. Remember when OJ wrote that book, If I Did It?
If I Did It? Right. This is exactly that. I mean, let's get into this because, God damn it, this is, Joe, it goes as far back as 1996. That stated that in 1991, when he was 24 years old doing his first solo album, he was fucking a 15-year-old. And encouraging her to recruit her school friends into orgies. In 1998, he was settled for $250,000. Okay. Then going back to 1991, we talked a little bit about Aaliyah. Did you know that it was Barry Hankerson's niece? And Barry Hankerson was the founder of Blackground Records. And he introduced at age 12 fucking R. Kelly to Aaliyah. And that there's a lot of different conflicting reports and things like that. But what is known is that in 1994, he got her a fake ID so they could get married in a secret ceremony because he knocked her up. He knocked her up. And then her family found out. And there was a lawsuit. And they had the marriage annulled and expunged. And Kelly and Aaliyah both at the time denied everything. And then later, shortly before her death, she came out and said some things. And then in the trial, it came out that, yes, he was doing things. This goes as far back as all of this is going on. Then in 2002 came the pissing video, the infamous Pee on You.
Yeah, and that's kind of like when I first kind of realized that he was like a fucking monster doing shit like this, because I remember it was on the news and Chappelle show and stuff like that. I mean, it was just weird because it came out like, oh, that's fucked up,
That's
and then like nothing happened.
Nothing
That
happened.
was the weird thing. It just kind of just vanished.
So
Like
here's
it was like a Mandela effect. Like, am I the only one who remembers this shit?
no, Joe. Here's the Okay, so like I said, this gets when I was reading all this and digging into all this and getting all this information, Joe, I just kept saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?" Because again, this is a guy who in 2002 was nailed with 21 counts of child pornography, and then was found later with a more 12 images of the underage girl who was in the pissing video that was fucking in a he had stuffed in a duffel bag. Joe, there was pictures of the girl in the video that he stuffed into a duffel bag, and he posted $12,000 bond, was released, and all charges were dropped due to lack of, quote, probable cause of the search warrants. So because they fucked up the search warrants, he got off. Then
Yeah, that's like the premise to Nightmare on Elm Street, Paul.
Kinda. That's why people burned
Isn't that
down the
how
house.
Freddy Krueger got off?
That's
Because it's
exactly
like,
how Freddy Krueger got off. And what happened? People burned him. So why the fuck R. Kelly wasn't burned in a fucking furnace with his fucking ugly sweaters and his claws? I don't know. But really, I mean, fuck, man. So then in 2008, there was another 14 counts of this child pornography, but the witness refused to the victim refused to testify, and it was called off. At the time, Kelly's own defense lawyer said, "This guy's guilty as hell. What are you doing?"
Jesus
His own defense lawyer came out and quoted, "This guy's guilty as hell. What the fuck's wrong with the system?" Joe, OJ's lawyer had a conversation with him and sat him down and said, "Hey, OJ," I remember this. He said OJ smoked a joint and had calmed down, and he said, "This was my time." And I asked OJ, "What happened?" And OJ said to me, if she hadn't answered the door with a knife, she would still be alive. His lawyer said this, okay, years later. On the day of fucking R. Kelly's acquittal, the lawyer's going, "No, wait, I was supposed to take his case."
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Fuck. So then he got divorced in 2009, and oddly enough, the records were sealed as to what happened. Well, those records became unsealed in the 2020 trials. Guess why she fucking divorced him? Because she claimed that he
let
was...
me think here.
Joe, why did his wife divorce him? Come on, tell me.
Oh, that's just a real mystery, Paul.
It's
just
real
who does? Why
fucking-
do people do things?
Back to the Scooby-Doo gang, man. We need them to solve this case. No, so she said that it was because he was accused of molesting a preteen in 2009 that she was aware of that year. So she filed for divorce. His lawyers got that sealed. So no one knew that. And then again, all these people are quiet. Well, now, fucking 6 years later in 2015, he releases The Buffet. And this, kudos, this Caroline Motery Tenari, I butchered that name, but whatever, of the Huffington Post, used this interview for this album and was like, "Hey, wait a minute, what about all these sexual abuse things that happened in the past? Kudos to you, by the way, Caroline. Thank you. Someone needed to remember this shit happened when they were talking to him." And apparently, Kelly, I could not find it, and I'm sure it's out there somewhere. I didn't look too deep for it, but apparently he started screaming at her, yelling at her, calling her a drunk, and was like, "I'm done. I'm going to McDonald's."
Well, he needed to get a quarter pounder to calm down.
Yeah, well, we know he's giving
or you could have gone to the strip club buffet and got some seafood.
got some sushi from the strip. This is Miami-Dade. I mean, it's there.
Yeah, wasn't here, bro. I'm sure Hogan would have suggested that. There, you're upset.
I'm sure him, Bubba the Love Sponge, is right. R. Kelly, they're all eating the sushi. I'm sure it was. Now I'm convinced. R. Kelly was the one who went, "Hey Hogan, you should fuck his wife."
Yep.
This happened. That's now a reality. Hogan, you could have blamed R. Kelly and gotten away with all of it. So like this was the thing. This right here is the thing that started to get people to go, wait a minute. There might be smoke to this fire. Literally 19 years later from the first fucking allegation, it took a Huffington Post live interview that was supposed to be a fluff one for a fucking studio for his 13th album that set off this chain. So then BuzzFeed gets a hold of this and they interview 3 sets of parents who were claiming that R. Kelly was holding their children in an abusive cult. Now, Kelly and the girls all said, no, this wasn't happening. Keep that in mind because we're going to jump back, okay? Because that's important. Then in 2018, the BBC airs this documentary called R. Kelly, Sex, Girls, and Videotapes, exploring these allegations and has interviews with one of the families. And so he then, Jesus Christ, Joe, remember the big package? Remember the big package?
How can you forget? It just got it's one of the most jarring parts of the whole fucking thing.
Joe, it's based in reality because R. Kelly was accused of misconduct by a former partner who claimed that Kelly intentionally infected her with an STD. Jesus Christ, this guy's a monster. I know I'm laughing, but it's the absurdity of it. It's the absurdity of it, you guys. Like, it is just crazy that all this shit happened. So then a year later, the BBC gets a hold of another woman who claims that she met R. Kelly in 2015. So now it's 5 years later. And she's been telling this story for 5 fucking years. That she took him to live with him and he was not alone, but was with other women. And he controlled every aspect of her life, where she could go, who she could talk to, who she fucked in the house. Joe, it is bad shit. So finally, there is the Woman of Colors branch of the Time's Up movement. And the Time's Up movement was one of those, was a branch that came about from the Me Too movement. Okay. So it was founded by after the Me Too movement, because of Weinstein and kind of exposing people in Hollywood that have been getting away with shit for years. So finally, this Woman of Colors branch says, hey, wait a minute, R. Kelly is a fucking monster and we know it. So they started putting out boycotts and a social media campaign. I missed all this shit, Joe. I didn't know there was a Mute R. Kelly fucking campaign. Did you know this?
No idea.
I had no idea. Do you know what the fucker has the balls to say to this? His management team came out with this statement. This is an attempted lynching of a black man who has made extraordinary contributions to our culture. Holy fuck, Joe. Joe, that happened. That was his response to the women of color of this movement. Jesus Christ, Joe. So then Spotify that year says, hey, maybe we should stop promoting his music. Gee, you think Spotify? Huh. So, but they were cautious about how they did it. Quote, we don't censor content because of an artist or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions, what we choose to program, to reflect our values. The fuck? The fuck? So like they did like this, rather than coming out and saying, hey, wait a minute, there's a fucking issue here. This is wrong. There's where there's smoke, there's fire. There's all these things are coming out just out of the woodwork in 2018. Like the fucking floodgates are open, and you have this company fucking walking the fucking tightrope of going, well, we don't want to. Well, then 2 days later, Apple and Pandora says, yeah, fuck that guy. Spotify reversed the decision. But Apple and Pandora said, we're sticking with this shit. So by the end of 2018, RCA finally dropped him because of the airing of Surviving R. Kelly. And the musicians that collaborated on that were Celine Dion, Nick Cannon, Chance the Rapper, Lady Gaga, and Jennifer Hudson, who went as far as to have their songs that they did with R. Kelly removed from their catalog. This is how bad this was.
Well, no shit.
Well, now, the question that I had, Joe, and I don't know if you're at the same point I was, where I was going, how the fuck was this guy doing all these things and the record companies didn't know, the management companies didn't know?
Oh, they knew. They had to have known.
And Joe, you would be correct, sir. The one...
Yeah, there's no way these people were his handlers and all that, because they're the ones paying people off and shit. Like, yeah, they know.
Joe, they know. In 2018, the year all this was blowing up back in May, the Washington Post reporter, Jeff Edgars, again, I like to give people credit when they do the right fucking thing, wrote something called the Star Treatment, which was a article alleging music abuse and specifically the willful blindness to Kelly's behavior. Okay. Edgar reported that as back as early as 1994, Joe, okay, that the Jive Records founder told Kelly that he would not release his records if he continued to have indecent relationships with young women after every concert.
Yeah. I mean, labels know their shit, Paul. I mean, it's like you can go with, you think like Led Zeppelin's label didn't know they were fucking underage girls and shit in the 70s. Like, they know.
Joe,
they have a retainer of lawyers on hand just to take care of shit like that.
Not only did they know, again, I'm going to continue this here because this is Calder in the article commented saying, quote, I regret not having done more at the time. Clearly we missed something. Clearly we missed something. Jesus Christ, Joe. Well, it continues. The former president of Jive Records told the newspaper that during 20 years of the label, he never concerned himself with Kelly's private life and was unaware of the 2 lawsuits against him and his own label.
Yeah, that's not... you're the president of a label and you have 2 lawsuits. You know about it.
You know about it. You fucking know about it.
Nobody's hiding that from the president. You're the top.
Mm-hmm.
You can't claim ignorance at that. When you're at the top, you can't claim ignorance. It's not how this works.
So Larry Kahn, another Jive executive, said it wasn't their responsibility and pointed to Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis and said, hey, they got promoted by their records. despite the fact that everyone knew they were involved with underage girls. Why would we do anything different?
That is not the take I think he thought it was.
The hot take, Larry Kahn.
I mean, that this is like, well, it's the whole like, like the two wrongs don't make it right, man. Like just because it was looked over like years before, it wasn't right then. It wasn't right now. Like what the fuck?
What the fuck, dude? I mean, Joe, that'd be like Hulk Hogan doubling down when the racist videotape came down and went to WWE. It was like, hey, everyone used those words back in the 50s and 60s. Why can't I?
Exactly. It just not. It wasn't even accept. Here's the thing with like Jerry Lee Lewis it was a scandal back then.
He had to leave the country, Joe.
Yeah,
he didn't come back. Roman Polanski left the fucking country.
Yeah, he's another one of those fucking monsters.
He is another one of those monsters. So then,
and he tried to like the whole Sharon Tate thing. Like, man, that doesn't excuse you raping a child in a hot tub, man. That just
nope.
Or allegedly, I don't.
Well,
fuck.
I don't. I think you can drop the allegedly on the Roman
I think so
Polanski
too. I think
one.
he was convicted.
Glitter. Yeah, he was convicted in absence. So then they went to Epic Records. Again, Jeff Edgars did his fucking due diligence on this. And Epic Records had the same kind of attitude. In 2002, when he signed with them, David McPherson avoided viewing copies of the tape, of the piss tape, and also warned that Kelly's assistant, that if it turned out to be Kelly on the tape, that the label would drop him, but they didn't. At the same time, Kelly started fucking an intern at the label who she was fired for it. She was fired for it. And he was left alone. The label also reported, Joe, that there was a room where the girls would come in, and he had a wing of the studio and said, no one fucking go into this wing. This is the grossest part. And then we're fucking done here. And they found urine stains on the carpet in those rooms. That one night there was a glass of pee on the piano. That Kelly's assistants, they would lock them in a room, and then Kelly's assistants would let them out to get food and go to the bathroom, and then bring them back into this small room and lock them in. And that's what he did for several fucking albums, Joe. And no one did a fucking thing. Like, this is the thing that really upsets me about this particular one. You know, we talked a little bit about Hogan and, whatever. That was three consenting adults.
It's some bad sushi.
It's some bad sushi. This was almost 30 years, Joe. Because he's 56 now, and he was in his early 20s. He started all of this, of people covering for 30 years of abuse because the guy did one good song in 1996.
Well, he was selling albums. That's the thing. If he's making them money, they're going to protect it. It's an investment, man, and that's fucked up. It's fucked up to say that, but like they're going to. These labels, their only concern is making money. They're not going to be the moral high ground of anything.
No.
And they're going to protect a monster like R. Kelly, unfortunately.
And I'm not going to get into all the legal things with this because there is a shit ton in New York. There's another one in Illinois. There's some shit that was going on in Miami. But essentially, it all came down in Joe, the big win for R. Kelly was they got a charge dismissed for the fucking transmission of the herpes to the victims. The intentional transfer when he was purposely giving people the package, Joe. That was the win. This was the win. But he got nailed on racketeering, on the Mann Act, which is what they're trying to get Matt Gaetz on. They got him on bribery. They got him on like a lot of like the child pornography that came out of Illinois, but in New York, that didn't really go anywhere. And they got him more like the John Gotti type of thing, where they fucking got him on the racketeering and some of the things you don't normally get someone on, you know, or like the ones that like, okay, we're gonna get rid of this. So, anyways, the guy's serving like
was it a RICO they got him on? Like just a massive criminal conspiracy just to get it all under one umbrella?
Pretty much. Yes, Joe, you nailed it. They like in New York, they got him on RICO. Okay, in Illinois, they got him on the child pornography. And
he's gonna die in prison, and deservedly so.
Yes, and it went to a grand jury and all these things, and basically he's serving something like 257 consecutive months. So like how they did it was, rather than having him serve the New York time, the New York sentencing and then the Illinois sentencing, they said he's going to serve them concurrently, which means he's serving them together. But what that does is it eliminates any chance of parole because he is serving 2 terms at the time, if that makes sense. And then they got him again on another one where they basically said, okay, we're adding another set of concurring. So they got him on 3 concurring fucking sentences and then added 1 more year, because originally it was 31 years and they got him on 32 years.
Yeah, I mean, this is like he got nailed, like how, like you brought up Gotti. This is like how they bring down like mafia guys.
This is exactly.
But they got him like, and it's good that they got him on that shit. Like, you know, that he's lucky they gave him the concurrently. Because if they did back to back, I mean, that'd be a guaranteed death sentence.
That'd be a guarantee. I mean, it still is. He's not getting out. But and I think that if he
does survive to like 80 or whatever, and he gets out, like
Joe,
he doesn't have much to life.
I honestly would not be surprised if some other charges came up. Like,
I'm sure there are. I'm sure they are. I'm sure there's prosecutors working on it just to extend it past the 30 years, just in the off chance.
Yep. And I firmly believe that. And you nail it. So this is exactly how they get mob bosses and things like this. So when you have people that have witnesses tampering, and you have all these people that like you can't really prove things are going on, but you know things are going on, then they start going after the technical shit. And that's why they have these laws in the books, because they can kind of go, well, we can't get you on this, but we can get you on that. And then they start doing the bartering. And usually at that point, you know you're fucked. Yeah. And so.
And it's like, it's also easier because instead of like multiple different trials for multiple different crimes, it's under one, because it eats up so much time. Mm-hmm. And it's easier to get people under a criminal conspiracy than, you know, if you're going to take every crime he did and put it that as a separate trial.
Oh my God!
Like he would be out still.
Yeah, and literally the courts would be tied up for years.
Yeah, tied up for years. So you know that's another aspect of why why they use it. Because back in like before RICO and all that shit, that's exactly what criminals would do, is just tie up the courts.
Yeah. So I did not know any of this shit, right? But basically, his first, the big trials were in 1997, 1998, 2004, 2005. There was 2, and then the 2019. He had 6 major trials and got away with 5 of them. And he wrote books, he wrote documentaries, and he did all this philanthropy work, supposedly, and trying to do all these things. And oh my God, it doesn't solve the fact that you're a fucking monster, man.
Exactly. It's like you're not atoning for it with that. I mean, there's so much damage here. Like, there's no undoing that. There's no, for somebody like R. Kelly, there's no rehabilitation.
No.
I mean, it's just, these are his colors, and that's just who he is. If he was let out today, he'd go back and do it again.
100% he would. 100% he would. Yeah, absolutely. So, Joe, in 2005, when the big shit was starting to come out originally, like the first real round of fucking shit was coming out, and he was fucking Teflon Don. He put out an album called TP3. And at the end of TP3 was Trapped in the Closet 1 through 5. And for some reason, people love this.
Goddamn right they did.
And so then, in later that year, in October, he put out chapters 1 through 12 as its own collection. When asked about Trapped in the Closet, it is a hip opera. It's a hip opera that tells the story of this crazy thing. I think you bought the big package DVD, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I don't. I bought it digitally on Vudu because I had to rewatch it because it had been, over 15 years since I've seen it. And let me tell you, Paul, it was just as jarring seeing it again after that time as it was the first time.
Joe, did he get the special effects guy that David Lynch used that did the bubblegum tree? Because my God,
he got Omar from The Wire in it.
He sure did.
Michael K. Williams, and then in part 2, he's got Bonnie Prince Billy.
He's got Bonnie Prince Billy. Yes, he does, Joe. I mean, Jesus Christ, that was the pastor, wasn't it? No,
he's the sergeant.
He was the sergeant. So, when asked about the writing of it, because of course someone asked him about the writing of it,
there's a lot of moving parts in this story, Paul. I'd be interested about the writing too. I mean, you draw the diagram, you look like what's going on in this. You look like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, where he's smoking the cigarette and has the fucking whiteboard with all the clues interacting with one another.
Joe, this reminds me more of when Charlie's fucked up on coke singing in the bar. It's go fuck yourself.
It's pretty much the Dayman musical. Got to pay the troll toll to get in that boy's soul.
Dude, the best thing, the one miss that R. Kelly had in this is he didn't get Danny DeVito to be Big Man. So because I'd love to see him come out of a closet and shit him. I mean, come out of a cabinet and shit himself. Joe, so here's what Kelly said, and again, how this didn't raise red flags.
Paul, he's a human red flag. This whole experience of this whole movie and album is just one giant red flag, Paul. It's not lost on me. I still fucking enjoy it, but I understand it's a giant red flag.
Dude, you watch it, these things, and you go, wow, he was pretty blatant about his shit.
Yeah, there was no hiding. He wasn't even hiding in plain sight. He was just in plain sight.
He was just like, I'm doing this. He said, I don't know how to explain how I wrote it. It just keeps rhyming and rhyming. It took on a life of mind and body of its own. It's alien. I credit the alien with its creation.
Yeah, well.
Yep. Yep, I think you're about right there. I don't think you're wrong.
It's as good of an explanation I could have thought of.
Show me the lie, Kelly. Show me the lie, because I'm sure the Greys had a lot to do with this one. I
have no idea. Could.
He then later stated, because that was crazy, that the dark and moody instrumental was influenced by his frustrations and depression following the Best of Both Worlds tour with Jay-Z, which apparently was an absolute shit show. And what happened with it was R. Kelly, during the first concert, ran a skit that made light of his court case. And Jay-Z was pissed that he would do something like that. And so he was removed from the act come the second night of the concert. He was like, Jay-Z was like, fuck you, dude. And then following that, Kelly was pissed. So he was 2 hours late because he was fighting with Jay-Z. Then he couldn't make it to the Ohio show. And then it was canceled. And then Jay-Z had to deal with some things, said, hey, I got an emergency. That emergency turned out to be Usher's birthday party.
Yeah.
They didn't want to deal with R. Kelly's bullshit. And
yeah, I don't even know what's going on backstage. And maybe Jay-Z saw like some glasses of pee and was just like, hey, no, I ain't doing this. Nope.
So then what happened was they had a Madison Square Garden show on October 29th. R. Kelly decided to tell the audience that two men were showing their guns to him from Jay-Z's group. And that then fucking the security came and was checking on things. And then fucking Jay-Z's friend Tyran Ty Smith pepper sprayed a bunch of R. Kelly and his bodyguards. So, and he was rushed to fucking the ER. So Jay-Z's performing and supposedly doesn't know anything that's going on. And then was like, hey, R. Kelly would be on any minute. And 45 minutes later, the crowd's going, where the fuck's R. Kelly? And so then Jay-Z's like, hang on, I'll be right back. And suddenly he's there with Usher, Mary J. Blige, Foxy Brown, Ja Rule, T.I., P. Diddy, and a whole bunch of other people. Fucking Jay-Z gave him the business from that. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And they both sued each other, countersued each other. It turned into a giant fucking shit show because it all started because R. Kelly did a skit that Jay-Z had no idea he was gonna do, and fucking Jay-Z was pissed. So, Joe, I mean, fucking, if that's the reality that was going on in fucking R. Kelly's life, are we at all surprised that Trapped in a Closet came to be?
You just never know where things come from, Paul.
Well, Joe, what I love about this album is we could talk about things like this. This is the first album I really didn't put any notes down because the songs are the fucking same.
Yeah, well, except Paul, and here's the thing. So this album has a lot of things going in its favor for you. One, it's a concept album. We all know how much you love concept albums.
Mm-hmm.
Two, well, it's very repetitive. The lyrics aren't repeating a lot. In fact, it's just a rambling monologue from an unreliable narrator, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
Yeah. And three, I mean, let's face it, you're watching the movie version, you see Omar from The Wire rough up a midget and make it shit its pants. What more do you want, Paul? Genesis didn't have that.
Well, I will
Carpet
say
Crawlers didn't have any of this.
there is a lot.
Carpet Crawlers didn't have it didn't have people whipping out their Berettas and just threatening cops and shit.
Chuck and Rufus. Oh.
I mean, this album is offensive in everything. It's so offensive.
It's so offensive, dude. There is so much wrong with this album. Like, it did not age well at all. As I said,
it wasn't aged well when it first came out, Paul. This came out 2006.
I think you were supposed to use the term dwarf and not midget in 2005. I'm pretty fucking sure.
Again, like, this was everything. But it's just like,
Bitch, please. He's fucking going after gay people. Like, this is bad, Joe. This is really, really bad.
yeah, that's not even, you got the big package later on where everybody has AIDS.
Well, when we find out, really, it's his euphemism for giving all the fucking girls intentional herpes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the subtext from his real life.
I think there's a lot of subtext from his real life in this album, Joe. Fuck.
All right, so let's start with chapter 1.
Oh boy, let's.
So you see Sylvester. Sylvester is the main character, Paul. This is, what was his name in Lamb Lies Down? Rawl?
Rawl. Yeah, this is our Rawl.
Yeah. So Sylvester's our Rawl here.
Yep,
He's our Pink
Tom.
from the Wall.
He's Pink. He's our Tommy. Yes.
Yeah, he's our Tommy. And
He's our
Pink.
Tommy.
Yeah, he wakes up in another woman's bed.
Okay, I have a problem with this right off the bat. Okay.
What do you have against one night stands, Paul?
No. I'm all for one night stands. I'm more of a weekend stand kind of guy, but that's neither here nor there. The thing that like set off the narrative tone for me that threw me off for a little bit in the first couple chapters is 7:00 in the morning. The rays from the sun wakes me. I'm stretching and yawning in a bed that don't belong to me. A voice yells, "Good morning, darling," from the bathroom. She comes out and kisses me, and to my surprise, she ain't you. That's right there. To my surprise, she ain't you. So I'm thinking, okay.
So he's like telling, like, yeah, narratively speaking, it seems like he's telling this to maybe his girlfriend.
Right. So
his wife. I think it's his wife in this. You know, and so I'm sweating, Paul. I'm just thinking of this and I'm getting all
it's implied.
Discombobulated.
Yeah, it's implied that they're married. Especially in the movie, or it's implied that they're married, but in the album it's not very clear. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so as the listener, I'm the you. Okay, so here I am. Okay, I'm following you here. I'm supposed to be the person, so things are gonna come and be told to me. Oh boy, was I wrong. So then I got this dumb look on my face like, what have I done? How could I have been so stupid to have laid here till the morning sun? I must have lost track of time. Oh, what was on my mind? Hey, Sylvester, I could tell you what was on your mind. It was it was you thinking with the other head. It was the rush of blood to your junk. What do you mean what was on your mind, buddy?
Well, as we realize as you go through this whole, let's call it's a saga.
Oh, this is
there was saga. Implications by putting Sylvester in this bed in the first place. It's a grand conspiracy, Paul. It's like Twin Peaks, you know.
Everybody knew everybody. Everyone was at the club. Boy, we'll get there, because there was a lot of things like as I'm listening to this, there's a lot of things where I go, this could stop right now if someone would just make the right fucking decision. But like Twin Peaks, no one's gonna make the right decision. And God, I hope at some point he fucking dies and someone can release all 85 fucking tracks and we can get the
Yeah, we need closure, Paul.
Joe, I don't even want the closure. I just want more of the chaos. I'm just like, because
the chaos is going to get more wild before it.
There's 85 parts, Joe. It better get more fucking crazy. So, and again, lyrically, this doesn't commit the sin a whole hell of a lot. But my God, by the end of it, dude, I am so tired of that fucking sample. I want to punch children.
See, I just can't get enough of it, Paul. I'm strapped in for the journey.
So,
you know, It works as an overture because it's
the same. It's just the overture. This is just a Tommy overture for fucking 2 hours. Wonderful. So he goes from the club to her home. Didn't plan to stay there long. Now he's picking up his clothes, searching for her car keys, trying to get out the door, Joe.
Yeah. But, you know, a mystery unravels.
Oh, it's
you see, he wants to go out the door, but he can't. because let me go to my character list because it's hard.
You need a map. This is like Game of Thrones. You need fucking.
Because you see Kathy,
Mm-hmm.
she says her husband's coming. And he's like, well, why don't I just go out the window? And she's like, we're on the 5th floor. So he's trapped. Sylvester is trapped in this apartment. Yeah, it's an apartment. Like, it feels like a house. But, we've spent numerous hours talking about the Black Lodge, so I'm just going to assume this is all in the Black Lodge, Paul.
This has to be all in the Black Lodge.
See, but she wants it. So he can't get out. So what she does is she puts him in the closet. And
Ojo.
Rufus. What? Rufus comes home and he starts banging her. Well, making out with her and all stuff. As his poor Sylvester's just in the closet like Kyle MacLachlan in Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet. Oh my God.
When Frank comes.
Rufus is Frank. Oh, fuck. Rufus is. Where's his
Unfortunately
nitrous?
for Rufus, for Sylvester, his cell phone goes off.
What an idiot. Dude, okay, Joe, I'm going to ask you something. I've had my cell phone for years now. I never have it on ring. It's always on vibrate.
I have it on. I guess I don't call or whatever. I don't even use my phone as a phone anymore, so I just have it set as ring.
Okay, I always have mine on vibrate. All right, go on.
Yeah, so Rufus here's the thing. He starts searching. What?
But wait, she deserves an Oscar because she just got done boning this dude, so now she's gonna fuck her husband. Yeah. Right in front of Sylvester.
Sylvester's getting cucked.
Yeah,
the person he's cucked.
He was the cucker, now he's the cucky. Yes. Yep. Yes.
Well, now Rufus is looking around, and he's coming closer to the closet, Paul. And he keeps getting closer. And Sylvester has no choice but to whip out his Beretta.
Joe, first though, he looked under the dresser. He looked under the dresser. Joe, he looked under the dresser first. Who can hide under a dresser?
We'll get to that later, Paul. Because I think this isn't Rufus's first rodeo.
Oh my God!
These characters.
Oh my God, Joe! That's gonna come later. We're gonna. Oh my God! Oh, you nailed it. We're gonna find out this isn't his first experience. She's been with Big Man.
Yep. Good old Big Man gets around. Paul.
Well, he works at Dixon's and hangs out at the Page Club. So go on.
Well, now he's staring at him like he was staring in a mirror, Paul.
Oh my God!
And this is where things start getting a little sticky with Kathy because she's trying to explain things to her now cucked husband.
Her cucked pastor
husband.
Yep, because they got to resolve things Christian-like, Joe. So he's got a gun. He's got the Beretta.
Yeah, he's in charge here.
He's in charge here.
I get a little confused with the
I'm with you, Joe.
Because he can leave at any point.
He can leave at any time. This could have been done right now. He could have been like, fuck you, I got the gun, I'm out. And he doesn't. Instead, we got fucking Rufus talking about bogus shit that's going on in his house, but he was a Christian, so he gave her the benefit of the doubt. God damn it, Joe. This is happening right now. Okay, I want to clarify before we continue, and I want to take a narrative pause here, Joe, and I want you to understand that this was happening in a studio, and people were going, keep going. Like someone was at a soundboard, like giving the keep it going.
Oh, I would. I want to know where this is heading. I'm strapped in, man. Like I want to know what's going on.
I've been in the studio. I know studio time is money, so I'm going. R. Kelly, man, you got a lot of money, but let's not waste it with this bullshit. Come on, dude. Come on. Get your shit together. This is a total, like, fucking coke fever right here, dude. This is like multiple drugs locked in a studio let the fucking guy go. Like, holy fuck, man.
So Sylvester's in control. He has the Beretta, waving it around.
Mhm.
Rufus is like, so Sylvester says, I got to get out of this house. And Rufus says, not until I reveal my secret. And he calls and tells this person on the other end to turn around. And the way he phrases it, he's like, my secret. And then it's like, in time, both of you will know the shocking truth. And when he says that in the song, I swear I was driving, I almost swerved and hit somebody. 'Cause I was laughing so hard.
Joe, I was dying. Okay,
I'll reveal the truth. Like, nobody speaks like this.
nobody.
This is why I think it's fucking genius.
So, Joe, I got to admit, I took my daughter, my oldest, to go see Scream 6. And I was like, all right, we got enough time. This is the album Dad's doing. I've listened to it 100 times. Here you go. And my 15-year-old daughter listening to this thing is literally in the car looking at me going, like, after every line, what the fuck? What the fuck, Dad? What the fuck, Dad? I'm going, this is the only...
Called social services on you, Paul, for playing this album with children.
Son of a bitch, I'm a monster. But I'm looking at my daughter, I'm going, yeah, no, I understand like this. Yeah, you could, no, I get it. Like, yeah, you can say what the fuck, like, totally, because I'm doing the same thing. We're on the same page here, honey.
So,
we're bonding right now.
So Paul, Rufus has a big secret he's going to reveal. And Sylvester, he's engaged in the story now. He wants to find out, but he's still telling he's threatening to shoot him because he wants to know what's going on. And Sylvester can leave at any time. He's in control here. He has the gun.
He has the gun. My favorite part is he's like, well, he's like, there's something you didn't know, my man. Did you tell you I was a pastor? I said, good, that's better, right? Why can't we handle this Christian-like? And I start to put the gun down until I saw you had that frown. And it's like, okay, so we know you got the gun up again, okay? And the husband's saying, you know, he's like, hey, man, I didn't know she had a wig on. Like, we're at the club. And the husband's like, man, I'd kill you if you didn't have that gun in your hand. And he's like, but your chick chose me. And he's like, don't give me that Mac shit, please.
Like,
Joe.
Your chick chose me. Like, what excuse is that? Like, again, I am like the narrator. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here.
Joe, I've had the displeasure of having a gun on me, like a gun pointed at me before. I want to say something. The words that don't come out of your mouth are, don't give me that Mac shit, please, when you have a Beretta pointed at your fucking head, man.
Well, he's going to shoot them both if they don't say what is on their mind. And now there's somebody coming up the stairs, Paul.
And he's going to shoot at the count of 4.
Still all wound up. He's going to count to 4 before he just shoots one of these people. That
Joe, don't die, Joe.
He's trying to kill somebody.
Just relax. Don't go
crazy. You could just leave.
No, my favorite.
And we find out later he did 5 years in prison. And he doesn't want to go back. Like,
why do you have the gun? Just leave. Like, why are you letting people know who you are? No, my favorite part though of this whole chapter is the 1. He says, Mr. Wait. 2. She says, don't shoot, please. 3. He says, don't shoot me. 4. She screams. Then a knock on the door. The gun's in my hand. Okay, at that point, again, I understand how nerves are going when you have a gun. If you're saying I'm going to count to 4 and then at 4, a unsuspecting sound comes, you shoot.
Paul, here's the twist, though. Because R. Kelly's homophobic.
Yes.
He can't believe the person who Rufus was talking to was a man. Man. He has the echo on that.
Well, here we are, the 4 of us in total shock. Me and her. I close my mouth and swallow spit and think to myself, this is some deep shit. Okay, now we get...
God, Paul. So now that's it's 4 people.
One has the gun. One has the gun.
One has the gun, is in complete control. And Rufus, or Sylvester's there. He's like, "This is some deep shit," and he yells, "Oh yeah, it's crazy. Let me out this door. This is way more than I bargained for." This is like that line right there is how I feel during the whole Trapped in the Closet saga. It's way more than I bargained for.
Dude, I did not know what I was walking into. You son of a bitch. You and Annie put me in a place where I was not prepared for this. But the part that
she says we can all fix this, like, Sylvester, man, you have the gun. Just go.
Just go. It's like, why are you invested? You can leave now. There's bigger problems, Sylvester. Just go home. But he says yes. I said no. He says yes. I said no. He says it's the truth. So
Blade Plus ain't got a damn thing to do with this.
It got a damn thing to do with this. And then she says, "But wouldn't you like to know how this all began?" And I thought to myself and said, "Quick, you got 3 minutes." Fuck you.
And then he gets real quiet. This is somebody start talking.
The guy with the gun. It's a Quentin Tarantino movie at this point. Someone fucking talk. You have fucking Samuel Jackson. Speak, motherfucker, speak.
Yeah. And so so what unravels in this part is we find out that Rufus, who's a pastor, has a relationship with this man. What's his name?
Chuck, the deacon.
Chuck. Yeah, Chuck. And it's like, he fell, and so like they're basically yelling at each other about cheating, even though they're both cheating. And Sylvester's just standing there with his Beretta,
just like hanging out, listening to this shit again.
Even though he's made it apparently clear he wants to get up and leave.
And
then it ends with he calls his home. Sylvester calls his home, and a man picks up the phone.
Up the phone. So
each chapter ends on a twist. It's like M. Night Shyamalan.
So what and again, we talked about the homophobia a little bit on this one, but what's implied in this is that Rufus is in the deeper wrong because it's with a dude.
From her perspective.
And
that was the weird thing. I didn't see that as R. Kelly being judgmental. In fact, Rufus is actually, after the initial shock, doesn't seem to really give a shit.
Right. Because Rufus has got his own.
Yeah,
right.
And it's just like, it's whatever. So it's like, it's weird that the homophobia is coming from the woman character.
Right. But I still think, even though it's not like, I still think, again, there's sneaky undertones in all this.
Exactly.
So, well,
I wouldn't call them undertones, Paul. They're
right.
pretty overt.
They're pretty overt. And again, yes,
it's coming really subtle about Trapped in the Closet.
I mean, it tells you what you're walking into the minute you fucking listen. But yeah, no, well, it's not coming from the Sylvester character. It is definitely an R. Kelly point of view, which is interesting. And I was waiting for this part to bring this up, because in all the accusations, it actually did come out that there was a couple male victims, but that was not brought up nor really fucking discussed at all outside of the trial, and really was what was considered a non-issue. But R. Kelly did have some male things that he was doing as well. Yup. So there is that aspect to it that came out.
He was, like you said, he was assaulted by male people when he was growing up. So it's, it
was and again, I'm not making excuses for his behavior.
No, I'm not either, but it's just like, it
was the repetition of abuse, right? Yeah. Usually in those instances, as the abusee, unfortunately, you usually become an advocate against abuse, or you become an abuser. And that's usually that is the two sides of the coin, unfortunately. So, but now in the movie, I gotta jump to the movie, Joe, the scene in the movie. It's like the worst green screen. It's so bad, where he's just like, it is the worst fake driving. R. Kelly cannot play anyone other than R. Kelly in anything.
Oh, he's playing Sylvester in this, Paul, and he's also playing the narrator, and he plays several other characters.
He plays several other. One of them's in blackface, Joe.
Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming.
I did. I was wondering who that was at first. I'm like, oh shit, there's a dude in blackface. Oh fuck, this is even more. Wait a minute.
Somehow it's worse because it's R. Kelly.
Well, no, and I was like, no, because at first I was like, oh my god, who is that? Because he looked familiar, and I was like, who the fuck's this guy? Who agreed to do blackface with R. Kelly? And then I'm like, wait a tick. Wait a second. Fuck, that's him.
Oh god, it's wild. So he gets pulled over for doing 60 in a 40-mile zone.
Yep.
By
Well, in the album he's doing 85. Because he said, I'm dashing home doing 85, but then the narrative changes, Joe. With the
Sergeant
cops
James
like,
tells him how fast he's going.
yeah. James tells him, you were going 85, you're going 60, you fucking grandma.
Yeah. Sergeant James is played by Michael K. Williams, one of my favorite actors. Like he's in a lot of stuff I enjoy. So
he's a great actor. And when I saw him,
he
I
was.
Like, oh,
He
yeah, he did. But when I saw it, I was like, motherfuck.
I was so excited when he was like, Omar. Hell yeah. Omar's cucking Sylvester. Yeah, so he gets his ticket.
Yep.
Which he laments later on, like, and I got a ticket.
And the cop's smoking as he's giving it to him.
Yeah. Well, it was the mid 2000s. Cops were allowed to smoke back then.
They're allowed to smoke in the cop cars in the mid 2000s. Oh my god. Cops are allowed to smoke in their cop cars. We were allowed to call people midgets and women bitches. It was a magical time, 2005, Joe.
Oh, you know it. We gotta speed this along, Paul.
All right. I'm sorry.
So he gets home and like he's all mad because like man answered the phone, and she's like, "No, it was Twan. Twan's her brother who just got out of prison."
Oh, I know we got to speed this along, but dude, we got to get to the sex scene in this because my god, Joe, he's got a burst of vessel in his brain. My leg's about to crack. I'm getting a cramp. She's about to climax. Cool, climax. Just like, oh, my leg. And he flips over the cover, and oh, my God, a rubber. Now, in the movie, it's implied that she saw the rubber and was like...
she was trying to hide it.
She was trying to hide it. It's not clear in the song, but in the movie, it's definitely like, oh, shit, I got to get him. I got to fuck him and get him out of the bed.
Well, you see, the media is different between visual and audio, Paul. Like, visual, you kind of have to do things a little differently.
All right. Fair enough. Continue, sir. So now he finds the condom.
Yeah. And like, so they get into a fight. He threatens to burn his house down.
And leave her breathless. He's going to murder her.
Well, he's already threatened to kill a couple other people this day already, Paul.
Even though he just got back from fucking another woman, he's going to murder her for the affair. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, accuses her of being on crack to have somebody up in his motherfucking
house. I love that.
Oh, so they
somebody up in my motherfucking house.
So they argue, and then they kind of like.
Oh, but we get a clue though, because the house smells like what, Joe?
Cigarettes.
Yes, we do. We get a clue.
Yeah. We need to move this along.
All right, I'm sorry.
God damn it.
Dude, there's a lot to unpack here, Joe.
Yeah. Well, it introduces like characters that we don't see until after part 12 when she's talking about Roxanne and
Tina, and I'm going, who the fuck are Roxanne and Tina? Thank God is the narrator. He's going, who the fuck is Tina and Roxanne?
Yeah, so they find out like they introduced her to the policeman who stopped him, and that's
yep, and because they know Chuck and Rufus.
Yep.
And Kathy. So everybody fucking knows everybody, we learn at this point.
They're filled with secrets. Doesn't she look almost exactly like Laura Palmer?
they're in a convenience store with a Formica table.
So on the next chapter, 6.
Cream corn.
So they basically, he's just like, it's over, he starts laughing. He's like, today's just so fucked,
Yep.
And like, if I went through this kind of day, Paul, where I was just all this and
You'd break.
I have waving my Beretta around, threatening to kill like 3 people at this point, 4
And then
people.
my wife, and burn down my house and get a ticket.
Yeah. So he starts telling her, and she's like, "Yeah, you've been through some stuff today," and like they're kind of like
They're bonding.
getting back along, and then
Yep.
then Sergeant James shows up. They're laughing and they're talking. He thinks that it's a commotion, and so it causes Sylvester to start whipping his gun around again.
Sylvester's
He's like
really
Frank Reynolds with his gun, just like.
I have a feeling this is a thing R. Kelly did a lot in his house.
Oh my god. So they get in a fight. It's in a fight with Sergeant James, and the gun goes off.
Somebody
Pow,
gets
pow, pow, and it turns out Paul in chapter 7. Well, they wait a while before they check to see if the guy's even alive or dead.
and I'm going, who is this guy? Because they don't tell us at first. For like half the chapter, we're like, who is the guy that got shot?
Oh, who else could it be besides Twan?
It's Twan. And I immediately, when they said it was Twan, I was like, of course it's fucking Twan.
But he doesn't want to go to the hospital. He just fixes himself up in the back.
just fucking prison tats that shit, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, at this point I'm going, what the fuck is happening?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
You see it there, so like then they're like Twan's shot, but he's all right, But all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. And it's Rosie, the nosy neighbor.
Yeah, I know we gotta move this on. I'm gonna just hit some real quick points here. So the wife is pissed because you killed her baby brother, and then the cop, he ruined his career. Then we find out the cop's married, and she didn't fucking know that. And so now Gwen's pissed at both of them, and then Twan is like, "Fuck you." It takes the cop's
Twan's
gun.
like all about killing. He wants Sylvester to shoot everybody.
Twan is even more gun happy than fucking R. Kelly is. So I'm assuming that Twan is based on someone on his fucking crew that was like, come on, actually use the gun, Kelly. Yeah, so he grabs the police officer's gun. He's like, yeah, arrest me later. And I'm going, what? What? And then Rosie
when the knock happens, he's had enough.
He's had enough.
And then the cop is like, calls him a pussy. Oh yeah, man of the house, you won't answer the door. Sylvester's had enough, Paul.
And Sylvester's got the gun. Twan's got the cop's gun, so I wouldn't be talking shit to the dude with the Beretta. Again, this is not shit people say.
The one who's just out of prison too.
You're right. Twan don't give a fuck. He just prison tatted his own goddamn shoulder wound.
It just turns out that the person at the door, Paul, is Rosie, the nosy neighbor with a spatula in her hand. Like that's gonna do something against them guns, Paul.
She's a real OG, Joe.
So now we follow Sergeant James home.
Yep. Oh my God, the southern accent on Bridget. What is that?
I thought the same thing, Paul.
Sweetheart, maybe it's that time of the month. You know what I mean?
The actress in the scene's not selling it.
No. But she did look like someone who would fucking good casting.
Oh my God. Well, she baked a cherry pie, which is another nice Twin Peaks reference.
Joe, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, this is an homage. R. Kelly's a Twin Peaks fan. I hate him for it. Don't like my fandom, you fucking monster.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
And you see Bridget at the house. She keeps trying to get him away from the kitchen.
Yep, she's trying to get him upstairs.
He's getting all suspicious.
What I think is weird is she's trying to get him upstairs, and she says, "Hon, I bought you some pears." Were they gonna do something sexual with the pears up in the bedroom, Joe?
Yeah, I usually keep pears in, like, the kitchen area or in the fridge.
That was kind of or in a can in the pantry.
But you see, James needs to heat up his chicken. These are all real things, people. We're not making any of this.
Not making any of it up.
James comes home with a box of chicken.
And then fucking...
Which
Oh, my God.
It leads me to believe after the whole ordeal at Sylvester's house, he stopped at like a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No. He stopped at a Quick Trip and got some cold chicken to heat up when he got home, Joe.
Couldn't very well be, Paul.
Because the strip club sushi was out because of Hulk Hogan and R. Kelly already eating it all.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Bridget's acting a little funny now, Paul.
she's acting a little weird, my man.
She's walking around and being all...
That
you
time
know,
of the month and in the
cagey.
restroom. Like, I was in the restroom and he said, "What'd you say that for?" She says, "I don't know." What? Like, my wife says to me, "Yeah, I was in the restroom." Okay, I assume you're taking a deuce. Like, what? Why is that the tell? Does Bridget not shit?
This is a line in this part too, Paul. Like, woman, I done told you I'm not going up no stairs. Now he's got a funny feeling, something just don't seem right.
I told you we're not going up those stairs. He looks at her. She's backing up. Then he says, "With all my might, woman, I swear I'll shoot somebody if you doing something wrong. If you've been doing wrong." What? Every
Right.
character's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, every character's complicated, Paul, just like in Twin Peaks. It's not surface level. And so now he's walking around. He looks behind the refrigerator.
Oh.
It's kind of like, when Rufus looked under it's like, I don't think it's his first rodeo.
No, I don't think it's the first rodeo. And then he looks over by the stove while she's easing over to the dishes. He moves the refrigerator, but this is where the story gets scary, Joe.
He gets something, Paul.
Because he notices the pie on the counter and something is missing. And now the story's getting scary because he comes to realize that Bridget's allergic to cherries. Why? Joe, I'm going to pause this again. I know we got to hurry this along, but I'm going to tell you something. I have a food allergy. That food is not allowed in my house. And that's not by me. That's by my fucking family. My family will check food and be like, make sure it's not in the house. So why the fuck is James having his wife, who's allergic to the fucking stuff, make the fucking pie?
Paul. Life's a mystery.
Oh my God. Now
But now he's getting to the cabinet.
No,
He's getting close to the cabinet. He's
Joe-
getting to the cabinet.
Before that, because my favorite part of those whole fucking 12 things. Then he says, "Move." She says, "No." He says, "Move." She says, "No." Bitch, move. She moves.
I mean, the situation's escalating, Paul. This is good storytelling.
Me and my daughter were dying when that was going on. And then it goes right to then he looks at the cabinet. He walks to the cabinet, gets close to the cabinet. Now he's opening the cabinet.
He's upping the tension, Paul.
Joe, you could say this next line here because I've said the word enough.
Not only is there a man in the cabinet, Paul, but the man is a midget.
Midget.
Jesus. The weird thing is, like, like R. Kelly thought this was like funny and shocking, and it's shocking, all right, but just how cavalier he is about it.
Dude, wow. And again, you gotta think about all the people that heard this and went, yep.
Just imagine in the studio, he's just going, and they're like, wait, what?
And nobody thought to put a stop to any of it.
All right, so now, Paul, according to the narrator, who's also looks a lot like Sylvester, but as we Lynchian fans know, that doesn't always mean they're the same person.
Like Snake and Bobby and
His name's not Snake, Paul.
and Mike and Bob. Yeah, no, exactly.
All right,
Yep.
Now the midget jumps out of the cabinet and stomps on the policeman on his toe. He runs like it's like, what is happening?
Like,
This is so offensive. This is so fucking offensive.
This whole chapter is so wrong on so many levels, dude.
What I think is like R. Kelly just like, oh, there was a little person in Twin Peaks. Well, I better have one in this.
That's what I think, Joe. I said the same thing.
There's so many homages to David Lynch in this, Paul.
It's
Basically a love
terrifying.
letter to David Lynch.
It really is, and David Lynch should be upset. Demand that it gets returned to sender. The policeman's hopping around on one leg, screaming "son of a bitch" while he runs under the table. The heels freeze, dives over the table, and lands on the midget, and the midget is kicking real fast, screaming out, "Bridget, Bridget!"
Okay, so this is where the mystery gets worse, Paul.
Oh my god!
Because he's like, man, what the hell are you doing in my house? And he wipes the cherry pie crust off his mouth and says, man, I was paid not to tell you. There's a
Right.
clue.
There's a clue.
The clue.
Mm-hmm.
It's wrapped in mystery, Paul. Invitation to love.
Invitation to love. What was their name?
But then he
Jade
pulls
and-
out his gun and says, trespassing man, I got the right to shoot you.
Mr. The man that paid me to do this would kill me if I tell you.
Now, he has a good, he points a gun. So on midget, this person, Big D, he's in a tough situation. If he doesn't say, he's dead. But if he does say, he's dead. And so, what do you do in a situation like that, Paul? Well, you just shitted yourself,
Joe,
which is so many layers of what the fuck at this point.
there's a hip hop opera that R. Kelly wrote where he uses the line, "I think I just shitted on myself."
Yeah, you didn't get that in The Wall, did you?
We didn't get that in Tommy, did you?
Yeah, Tommy didn't shit his pants. Hence, this is the greatest concept album ever made.
Oh my god, Joe. I died because I was like, holy fuck, a midget shit himself, just like Joe said.
Yeah, I wasn't lying, Paul.
You were lying. I had no idea. I was like, that's got to be something. No, you were being very, very literal.
All right, so now we're at Sylvester's house, Paul.
Son of a bitch.
And Juan's got a patch on his shoulder. They're playing cards, getting along. The phone rings, and Bridget found the number in her husband's pocket.
Yep.
She had to call. Doesn't give us a reason why Sylvester goes to
No,
Sergeant James's place, but he does.
with Twan.
With Twan.
with Twan. Because that's a thing. My favorite part is 2 minutes later, Gwendolyn shaking her head saying, "Girl, I understand." Sylvester says, "Who is it, baby?" She hangs up and gives him the address. Now, meanwhile, back at the policeman's house, the midget is crying his ass off while he's lying through his teeth, about to get his little ass torn off. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Lamb lays down. Hence, an inferior concept album, Paul. All right, we got to move this along, Paul.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do, Joe.
Because
Oh,
James points his gun and says we're all going to die up in this kitchen.
because Bridget's also got a double barrel that she pulled from her purse.
Don't forget the midget has an inhaler.
Because he's got asthma and it's acting up. It's not good for his heart because he already shit himself.
And, Sylvester and Twan show up and they're wondering why the kitchen has a funky smell.
John and Sylvester are sniffing around trying to figure out what's that smell. Oh my God. And now the midget begins to wake up because he fainted from all the madness.
I don't blame him. I almost did too.
Joe, I almost passed out a couple of times laughing so hard through this fucking podcast, buddy.
So there's 3 guns in this kitchen with a cherry pie, a man with shit in his pants. Who's Big D, and he points to it. He says his name is Big D. Is it Big D? Big man.
Big man. It's Big Man.
He says he was blasting in the movie. He points to his dick.
He points to his dick. And they're trying to figure out, man, someone done broke wind.
And then Twan just wants to shoot everybody.
Twan wants to kill everybody. Man, just let me shoot them all.
He's gone blood crazy.
Yes. And then they find out that he never should have gone. Sylvester says he never should have gone to the Page Club, and Big Man's like, Page, I've been there. That's probably where you know me from. Then we get another mystery
play later.
Mm-hmm. The club does. Yeah, Page gets mentioned a lot. Then James, we get another clue wrapped in secrets, Joe. Hey, Chuck and Rufus, let's get back to the matter at hand.
Yeah, well, then it's like, well, how do you know Chuck and Rufus?
Okay, I know we got to move this along, but we already know how he knows Chuck and Rufus because we were told earlier, if you've been paying attention, that she met him, that Kathy met, or that Gwen met James through Chuck and Rufus. So why Sylvester thinks this is weird, this is part where the narrative's starting to kind of unravel on itself a little bit.
It's all by design, Paul. It's all by design.
I'm trying, Joe. I'm trying.
He's making it sound like he's just making it up as he goes along.
It's kind of like when I corrected the lie, 2016, 2012, it doesn't matter. Oh, shit. Because she's 3 months pregnant, because she's sick, Joe.
Yeah, she's pregnant, but it's not James's baby. It's Big Man's baby.
Big Man's, because he's a stripper that works at Dixie's. I'm assuming that's going to come in the other 84 parts.
I think. Yeah, probably. I'm trying to remember if that shows up in the club parts, but I'm not sure.
I don't think it does. I don't think Dixon's comes up yet. Nope.
Well, now we got to jump back to Kathy's house, Paul.
Oh, boy.
Because Rufus, through all this, we've all forgot about Rufus, Kathy, and what's his name?
Cathis, Rufy, and Chuck.
Chuck.
This is where we get the first musical break. Yep. This is where the music changes finally. Come on, try it, motherfucker. Fuck you. Oh, I swear to God, just try it. Let me at her. Come on, bitch. Skank. Just try it, motherfucker.
Yeah, and they're still arguing about everything that happened, and they're talking about like if this story goes on the news. Like, I don't know why it would go on the news.
But it does. It does, Joe. It does later.
Paul. It's both wonderful and strange.
Oh, Christ. So they're arguing, and then a phone call, and it's Gwen calling Kathy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this is where it turns into Mulholland Drive, Paul.
Yes, it is. This is absolutely Mulholland Drive.
Because you see, One of them was, God damn it, Paul, you explain it.
Okay, all right. Because that hoe was me.
She
No.
didn't know, she didn't know that Kathy was the one that Sylvester was with.
Right, because yes, they're friends. So Gwendolyn is explaining that
Kathy says, Gwen, I'm sorry, girl, but that hoe was me.
yes, because they explained the whole thing. So what happened was she calls Gwen,
The crusty wig wearing hoe.
the crusty wig wearing hoe, because you wouldn't recognize your friend in a wig. Because yeah, but the point is that so Gwen calls Kathy because now Tuan and Sylvester are out of the house. So now she's gonna call him Dish, like, hey, I got fucking, like, Sylvester came in here, yeah, you fucking gossip, like, you introduced me to James, now I find out James is fucking married and fucking Sylvester is over there. And
now when Sylvester told her the story about the pastor having the boyfriend, like, how many people does Gwen know?
Well, and again,
you know what I mean?
And again, early on, she mentions Chuck and Rufus, and he's telling her the story, and they're laughing and laughing and laughing. So why again didn't he go, Chuck and fucking Rufus and Kathy? That's where I just fucking was. So again, the narrative is really falling apart. Like
it's not falling apart, Paul. It's just showing that they're just not thinking about it. Like it's like Twin Peaks. It'd be like,
That's true. We knew that fucking horn.
Of course, Audrey didn't know going to One-Eyed Jacks would be a bad idea.
Right, but we knew this. Yeah. All right, fair enough. But yeah, no, she's the crusty ass wearing hoe, and so that's where this ends on that cliffhanger. Where, and again, of all the cliffhangers to kind of end on, that one was kind of a whatever. Like. Yeah. I really wasn't all that invested for that. I'm like, okay, that's a good end of the story. Like, this is like you could stop it right here, and this would be Old Country for No Men. A really bad for a Tommy Wiseau version of Old Country for No Men, where you just kind of get a slice of life and that's it. We did not need 13 through whatever. We did not need 20.
Yeah, we did, Paul.
All right, Joe, we've been here for a long time, so let's get to the aftermath of this. People loved this.
Yeah, I love it. Like, it's great, Paul. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Chapter 1 went double fucking platinum.
Goddamn right it did.
It went double platinum, Joe. It peaked in Belgium, in the UK, in France, Germany, Ireland, in the Netherlands, New Zealand, fucking Swiss, fucking, it was all over the US billboards. This was a thing. This was a thing.
Yeah, Paul, I love it. I mean, come on.
All right, Joe, we got more to get into this later because we're going to do the other two albums at different points. Yeah. So I'm just going to say to you, I'm going to ask you because we've been here for 2 hours. This is our longest podcast. We haven't done one like this long since Twin Peaks, which is rightfully so. It all fits. Would you recommend Chapter 1 of Trapped in a Closet?
You mean Chapter 1 through 12? Would I recommend Trapped in the Closet? Yes. Of course I would. It's a no-brainer, Paul, isn't it? Fuck. What about you, Paul?
Would I recommend Trapped in a Closet?
Yeah.
Damn it. I mean, yeah, god damn it. I mean, okay, putting all of it aside, everything we went through with disclaimers, all the horrible things about R. Kelly. This is not Genius. I'm sorry, I'm not recommending it for Genius.
Oh, it's Genius, Paul.
At another level, Joe. It's a genius. The aliens wrote it. And that's from the guy's fucking own mouth.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I don't. I don't know what you're. When you say it's not genius, Paul, you're just being intellectually dishonest.
Oh my god, damn it! It's Tommy was so. I mean, it's The Room genius. It's fucking God, what movie did I watch the other night? Time Barbarians. Time Barbarians, Joe. Exterminators from the year 3000 genius.
Hey, Paul, that movie, that movie didn't go double platinum. All right, this was successful. Those weren't.
I have to think that part of the reason why I went double platinum was for the oddness of it. Like it's a spectacle. It's a thing.
It's amazing. That's what it is.
So there's a character named Bankhead later in it. All right.
Rosie the nosy neighbor, Paul.
I mean, yes, I'm gonna recommend it for the fucking
Insanity of it.
Insanity. Yeah. I mean, Pimp Lucius.
It's
comes
also
in later.
just it's offensive. It's hilarious when it's not supposed to be hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's unintentionally, like, he really thought he was doing something here. And at the time, people were really bought into this thing because I think of the hype machine of it. But really, I mean, you talk about, I know we skipped through a lot of it, but there's a lot of things that are that subtext of the midgets not really being like comic relief, not being taken seriously as people. The fact that in that last chapter, they are referring to the fact that because Chuck is gay, he automatically has an STD that now Kathy has. There is a lot of
it's
abuse.
offensive on all levels, Paul.
It's offensive on all levels. I mean, the treatment of women, there's a lot of subjugating. I mean, again, when you look at what was going on now, and like, all the things that R. Kelly did, this is almost like the confession of, I'm a horrible person. This is a very stream of consciousness thing that came out in this unintentionally offensive, ridiculously comedic thing. That all being said, I still have to recommend it for the batshittery of it. People will be talking. I mean, we're still talking about it. I think people are still finding it, just like we are, and people are still like. I think the what the fuck of it is even more. It's kind of like The Office, right? Like we did that small podcast of me now watching The Office versus when you guys first watched The Office. It's not quite that level, but there are so many more things to it now where the nuance of it has completely changed. So for me, hearing about it from the first time versus when our listener and recommender Annie was listening to it, where it was, wow, this is a hip hop opera. This is a giant thing. This is important. This is going to change music. I'm going, holy fuck. This was okay at a time.
Yeah, this was socially acceptable.
This was socially acceptable and sold, and people were all for it. And there were lighthearted parodies, and people were okay with everything that was going on with it. Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking spectacle. It's a thing. We live in the timeline where this exists. Yes, I'm going to recommend it. I should not live in this timeline. There's timelines we talked about that has way cooler shit. What did I get? I got fucking R. Kelly's fucking manifesto on how to be an asshole in a rock opera. I mean, in hip hop opera form. Fuck. Joe, we have 2 more of these to do.
Well, we're not doing them right away, so.
No, we are not. Joe, do you have any plugs?
No.
Okay. I don't have any plugs either. Joe, we spent 2 hours on this. Do you have any last words?
No. It's just perfection, Paul. It's the perfect concept album.
Joe, do you want to take us out?
Well, you haven't asked me what my
oh my God, I'm trying to. God damn it, Joe. See, I'm broken. I'm broken from this. Joe. What are we doing next week?
This next one, because I knew this one was going to go off the rails. I just. My next pick is going to be kind of ground we've covered, but it's been probably almost, it's been over 20 years since I've listened to this album.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to give it another shake. And so we're going to go back to the Floyd Machine, Paul.
Ooh, okay.
We're going to talk about Roger Waters' solo album, Amused to Death.
Ooh, yes, I'm fine with that because that doesn't technically count. Nope.
What do you mean it doesn't technically count?
Well, I mean, because we did Genesis and we've done Phil Collins. So doing Pink Floyd and doing Roger Waters, totally, we're not actually treading, we're not repeating. So that counts completely. Ooh, you did Amused to Death and not interesting. Okay, I would have thought you would have done his other one, but we'll do Amused to Death. Apps, I love that.
Well, he has others,
Yeah.
But no, I want to do Amused to Death because I haven't heard it in a long time, and I want to see if it still stands up or not.
I will. Yeah. Okay.
Because of course he has nothing controversial going on with him. So this will be easy peasy, Paul.
Speaking of controversy, I know we've been here a long time. We both want to go. I do want to have this conversation on air. I don't want to take it off. We had yet another request come in, Joe, from yet another fucking listener.
We just did 2 hours of Trapped in the Closet.
Well,
we had to speed up that last hour because there were so many plot holes.
So this was my thing. And I said to this person, I didn't think we would actually do it because, and I want to get your opinion of it. They want us to do a soundtrack. And I said, I didn't think that really counted towards what we do when it comes to rating albums. And I wanted to get your opinion on that.
We've already done soundtracks though.
Well, we've done we
did the Sgt. Pepper's
because
the Tommy soundtrack.
True, but those were based on the movies and they had the same. We did the soundtrack versions of those albums.
Yeah.
But so are you fine with soundtracks then?
Well, as long as it has some coherence to it. If it's just like the Dazed and Confused soundtrack, it's just AM fucking whatever. We're just going to talk about songs we've all heard a million times before. So I wouldn't be happy about it.
Okay, well then we will continue this conversation offline because I will tell you what it is offline and then we can decide on that.
All right.
So, all right, Joe, do you want to take us out now?
No.
Did we love you? Did we hate you? Do you even care? Yes, you did. We're the best damn review team out there. How did we rate your album?